The last couple of years has seen a huge influx of new electric cars, and there's a definite industry standard materialising for a family EV hatchback that costs around £30,000 and has a range of some 200 miles.
Witness Exhibit 1, the Vauxhall Mokka-e. Now, you can get this from just over £30,000 after the government's £2,500 plug-in car grant, and you get a 201-mile official range from a 50 kilowatt-hour battery.
But it has a lot of competition, not just from stuff like the Volkswagen ID.3, Peugeot E2008 and Kia e-Niro, but also from this, the Hyundai Kona electric.
The Kona has been around for a few years now, and in that time it has rightfully earned a reputation for being one of the best family EVs out there. This is the smaller of two batteries that you can get in the Kona, the 39 kilowatt-hour model, and that gets an official WLTP range of 189 miles. You can also get this car from just over £28,000 after that government grant. Before we go any further, don't forget to subscribe to the CarGurus UK YouTube channel for loads more fantastic content. So we have got two style-focused compact SUVs, both pure electric, both with a similar official range and both with similar ambitions in life, really. Before I talk any further about the costs and the practicality and all of that stuff, I'm going to focus on the range and the charging, which after all is understandably still the stuff that concerns most people who might be considering switching to an electric car. So the Kona up here actually has its charging port on the front, while the Vauxhall has its charging port at the back here. Now, the important thing to know to start with is that both of these cars have exactly the same sockets. So you get a Type 2, which is where you plug in your home wall box and most slow chargers that you find, and you have your CCS rapid charging port, which is where you plug in your rapid chargers on the motorway services.
However, the Mokka does have a bit of an advantage over the Kona when it comes to rapid charging, as it has 100 kilowatt charging speeds, while the Kona makes do with 50 kilowatts. That means that if you plug into a rapid charging station of 100 kilowatts or more, the Vauxhall will get 100 miles of additional range in some 20 minutes, while the Kona will take more like 40 minutes. Most owners will do the majority of their charging at home, where both cars will charge in under 8 hours from a standard 7 kilowatt home wall box.
The Vauxhall is definitely one up on charging, and it has got the longer official range then. But it is worth pointing out that the Kona can be had with a bigger 64 kilowatt-hour battery that has an official range of 300 miles. And actually it doesn't even cost that much more than a fairly high-spec Mokka, although you do get bigger discounts on the Vauxhall these days, it has to be said. So we're going to talk about the real-world range a bit later when we've driven them some more. But for now, both of these are going to be used as family EVs, so let's check out the practicality.
Starting with the Vauxhall, it's got to be said that the boot is pretty small. Sure, both of these cars are compact SUVs that have a similar footprint to a normal family hatch like the Volkswagen Golf, but we'd still expect a bit more space than the 310 litres that you get with the Vauxhall, although the underfloor storage is useful for stowing your cables.
The rear seats are fine in the Vauxhall. There's a reasonable amount of legroom, so you get two 6-footers in here if you need to. Headroom might be a little bit tight on that front, and there is no central armrest.
The Hyundai Kona also has a slightly underwhelming boot space, but at 332 litres it is a bit bigger than the Vauxhalls, and you get proper dedicated underfloor cable storage. There's a little more space in the rear seats of the Kona, although not enough to make a huge difference. Tall adults will still find the roof lining a little close for comfort, and legroom could be tight for an adult sitting behind a tall driver. In short, both of these cars are going to be fine for a small family, but if you regularly carry 4 people and loads of luggage or sports paraphernalia, you'd be wise to try and find the extra cash for something like the Kia e-Niro, or better still, the much bigger and roomier Skoda Enyaq iV.
I think Vauxhall's actually done a really good job of making the Mokka feel really smart inside. There's a nice combination of materials around the cabin, it all feels quite solidly built, and it's all quite easy to use as well. You get these nice shortcut buttons beneath the touchscreen which make it easy to hop between functions in here, and you've got, joy of joys, conventional old-fashioned climate control buttons which are really easy to use. And I'd also like to say that this very simple remote child lock, which means that you can turn the child locks on and off via this button, is genius, and I don't know why every manufacturer doesn't do it. The touchscreen itself is not bad at all. The graphics are reasonable, there are better out there, but the menus are fairly straightforward. I have to say this is just a better system to use than the Peugeot E2008, which has similar software, but this is just a bit better set up. So between all that and the dials, I think Vauxhall's done a really good job in here. The only big gripe that I have is with this seat, because there's no lumbar adjustment, and I have to say, on a long journey, it's just really uncomfortable. There is absolutely nothing in here that sort of makes you think that this is an older EV, which it is in this class. Everything feels very solidly put together. I have to say though, I think the Vauxhall's got it on the perceived quality front. The plastics in here just feel a bit drab and scratchy, to be honest. Still, very comfy place. You do get adjustable lumbar on all of the Kona electrics, which is great. It's a really comfy driving position, definitely better than in the Vauxhall. And also the Hyundai has got the better infotainment system. Really, I think Hyundai and Kia have got the best touchscreens in the class, unless you're going to go for like BMW or Mercedes. You've got your shortcut buttons to make it easy to hop between functions. The graphics are really good, definitely better than in the Vauxhalls, and it's just a bit easier to use really. So really good on that front, and you've got your straightforward climate control buttons down here. Goes without saying that you do get Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, digital radio and sat-nav in both of these cars.
It's also impressive that both the Mokka-e and Kona Electric get adaptive cruise control, reversing camera and rear parking sensors even on the entry-level models. Peculiarly, you have to go for a mid-spec premium trim in the Kona to get automatic wipers and full LED headlights, but we'd recommend the mid-spec trims in both of our protagonists anyway, since that gets you heated seats and steering wheel, keyless entry and various style upgrades. And on the Hyundai, it also brings wireless phone charging and blind spot assist.
Anyway, enough about all of that stuff. I'm going to talk about how these cars drive now, and I'm going to start in the Vauxhall Mokka-e because it is the new contender here. Now, you get 134 brake horsepower and front-wheel drive in the Vauxhall. Actually, you get the same in the Kona. Now, the Vauxhall is a very pleasant thing to drive, but I have to say, there's nothing exceptional about it. Steering's quite light, gives you enough confidence to sort of swing it nicely through a corner. You can enjoy a good road, but I mean, it's never that fun. There's never a hell of a lot of feedback or anything like that. So it always feels like a car that's comfortable enough, but nothing more than that. Do you know what? Most of the time it's not a problem. It rides all right. Higher speeds, particularly kind of mid-corner expansion joints and that kind of thing, it does get a bit clunky. Brake regen is the system whereby every electric car has it. When you lift off the throttle, it is harvesting that energy and it's saving it in the high voltage battery and increasing your range. So it's helping with your efficiency. In the Vauxhall, because it's very moderate, to be honest, I don't think it is something that's going to bother you at all. In default mode, it just feels like the engine braking you get in a standard petrol or diesel car because it's very, very mild. You can, however, make it a bit stronger by hitting B mode down here, and that works quite well around town. So you barely need to use the brake pedal too much, although there is no one pedal mode in the Vauxhall as you get in stuff like the Nissan Leaf and Renault Zoe. I do also really like the fact that the lane keep assist, you can turn it off very easily with this button down here. I like that because lane keep assist in certain situations it works quite well, maybe on the motorway and this kind of thing. If you drive around the countryside a lot like I do, it can be really intrusive. And again, it's just a very easy, very unintimidating car to get in and drive straight away. So that's the Vauxhall then. How about the Hyundai? Well, as I said, it's got the same power output, 134 brake horsepower. Actually, this is a bit slower. It's got 0 to 62 of 9.9 seconds, this thing, which is nearly a second slower than the Mokka. But do you know what? In real world, I don't think you really notice it. I think actually the performance is fine in both of these, especially up to 40 miles an hour. You know, even the Kona feels really pretty nippy. You know, it's really nice to drive around town, really lovely, smooth power delivery. Both of them tail off a little bit over about 40 or 50 miles an hour, but you still feel more than confident merging onto a fast motorway, all of that stuff. So I don't think anybody's going to have any issues with performance in either. Ride comfort's a little bit firm in the Hyundai, gets a bit busy around town, so I think probably the Vauxhall's got the edge on it a little bit in that respect. Having said that, the Kona does have usefully the better brake regen. So you get the paddles on the steering wheel here, which I really like. I think it makes the technology much easier to kind of integrate into your driving and make the most of it. You get 3 levels of brake regen in the Kona. You can just toggle through it with these paddles, and that means that you can use it a bit like you would downshifting in an automatic gearbox in a normal petrol or diesel car. And the Hyundai also has the better steering, it has to be said. Slightly better weighting and just a bit more feedback really. So I think if you're going to try and enjoy these cars on a decent road, I think the Hyundai's definitely got the better of the Vauxhall on that one. It's just got a little bit more gumption to it. But however you sort of take it apart, there's no denying that these two cars they're so similar on all of the critical fronts really, aren't they? And that does go for cost as well. The Vauxhall, you do get some really big discounts on list price if you're buying outright, so do bear that in mind, which isn't the case for the Kona so much. But even if you're buying on PCP as a retail customer, £5,000 deposit down, 36-month contract, both of them come in at around about £350.
Let's face it though, while the Vauxhall certainly takes the prize for charging speed and also, to these eyes at least, for style appeal, it's let down by a poor driving position and underwhelming practicality. The Kona then has the better infotainment. It is a touch roomier inside and also has the option of that long-range battery if you can stretch to it. But even if you do stick with the smaller battery model, it's the Hyundai Kona electric that comes out on top here. Head to CarGurus UK for a whole host of great used cars, including an increasingly tempting array of electric cars, of course, and all of them from top-rated dealers. And while you're here, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the CarGurus UK YouTube channel, and turn your notifications on.